Welcome to The Story Behind the Artist, the podcast that goes beyond the artistry of permanent makeup to explore the stories of the people shaping this industry. From artists to educators to innovators, advocates, and those quietly changing lives behind the scenes. Whether you are a permanent makeup artist, a trainer, or someone navigating the human side of this industry, this is where we uncover the journeys that remind us why this work matters. Today's episode shifts our focus to something deeper than technique or business growth. We are talking about purpose, resilience, and the power of using this industry as a force for good. Our guest today is a permanent makeup artist whose journey is rooted not in ease, but in lived experience. From becoming a single mum at just 22, navigating grief, loss, dyslexia, and financial struggle, to later finding her way into permanent makeup against the odds. Her story is one of quiet determination and deep empathy. What makes this conversation truly special is what came next. From her own experience of loss and healing, she went on to found The Joy of You, a charity dedicated to offering permanent makeup and paramedical tattooing to women going through some of the most difficult chapters of their lives. Not to fix them, not to change who they are, but to meet them exactly where they are and offer moments of dignity, calm, and reconnection. In this episode, we explore how pain can become purpose, why permanent makeup can be so much more than aesthetics, and how creating space for others can sometimes be the thing that saves us too. So whether you are an artist questioning your impact, someone navigating grief or change, or simply looking for a reminder of the heart behind the industry, this episode is for you. Hello, welcome Sophie. Thank you so much for being on The Story Behind the Artist.
Thank you for
I
having
am
me.
so excited to talk to you about your story. I want to first, we will talk about your career as a permanent makeup artist and the incredible charity that you've set up, The Joy of You. However, before we get to that point, I would love to hear more about you, Sophie, and your journey and your story into leading up to where you are now.
Amazing, yeah.
So, first of all, tell me a little bit about you or Sophie as a child. What were you like? Where did you grow up? Tell me a little bit about your family dynamics.
So Sophie as a child was definitely loud. Constant school reports were, she's lovely but talks too much, too interested in everything everybody else is doing. And I grew up in North London, Islington, Holloway. And it was a really nice school, and yeah, I just didn't quite get on with academic side, so I was easily distracted. I was always looking at what's going on over there and what are they doing and how does that work. So I did struggle a bit in school, but I was never naughty. You just couldn't get me to focus.
Yeah. And I think so many people in our industry would relate to that.
100%.
I think there's so many of us like that, and that's what draws us into this career actually, isn't it? So tell me a little bit about that. You told me that you are dyslexic. When were you diagnosed dyslexic?
I wasn't diagnosed till my mum really fought for it, but back then you're looking at I think she tried to get me diagnosed in 1990. I would have been about 7.
Okay.
8. No, I would have been 8. It just wasn't really a thing. So
No.
I just always got put in bottom groups. But then sometimes you had the naughty children there. So then they just put people that weren't getting the work and then disruptive together in one group. So I didn't get diagnosed until I was at university. So I would have been 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Oh, a relief, because you're like, oh no, okay. Okay, so that's why. I mean, it's a long-winded process, and I probably still haven't, well, no, I'm lying. I definitely haven't read my report because I don't do sentences. I find with how I definitely knew I was dyslexic was I can read a whole page, but you asked me what I read, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I learn through doing.
Okay.
So if anybody dictates to me and tells me the way, and it absolutely beautifully. They can tell me it to the nail, it won't go in. And if I read it, the instructions, it won't go in. So doing.
You're a kinesthetic learner.
Yes.
You need to be doing, Yeah,
need to be doing that. So that made uni quite hard.
Yeah.
I really found the assignments were just unachievable to me.
So let's go back to, we'll come to that. Mm-hmm. Let's go back to you as a child. Tell me about your family dynamics, because I think, did you have a famous mum?
I should be like, no. So my mum was in television.
Okay.
And my dad was a tour manager for some incredible artists. And so my childhood, I just saw very driven parents, very career-driven parents. And it was a lovely childhood. But the thing with, and I think as you know, and we do suffer as parents, if we want to chase our careers, it can compromise your home time. Absolutely. So I was brought up a lot more by nannies.
Okay.
Live-in nannies and things like that. So some would be some very grumpy French ones. Some would be, an acquired taste.
Yeah.
And then eventually, when I was about 9, we had the most amazing nanny from Scotland called Mags, and she was just heaven on earth.
Wow.
She ended up marrying Fergal Sharkey, which you won't know who he is, but he was an artist. So she went off, but
wow.
So they would come on holidays with us and things like that, because even if we were away, usually it'd be because Dad was working.
Okay. And what TV programmes was your mum on?
So she did a few roles back then, so in House of Elliot, The Upper Hand, and then she presented for years. It was called Pebble Mill at 1. So that was GMTV before it was GMTV.
Okay.
So she was a morning show presenter, which sometimes I'd be on it with her,
wow.
doing only like age 3, but doing, I don't remember so much, I think like a workout thing, and there's a really funny like catalogue with me in it and her. So she presented, she was very known then. Okay. And then she went on, when it went to GMTV, she presented The Health Treatment.
Wow.
With Dr. Hilary Jones. They presented that together. Yeah.
Wow. So that must have been amazing to grow up seeing that.
Yes, it was. Do you know what? A lot of people say having a dad that's seen so many people and you get to do so many things, and having your mum do that, and it is amazing, but on the flip side there's a lot missed. So a lot of Father's Days, a lot of birthdays, usually the only time, and why Christmas is always so lovely to me is because that's the guaranteed time. Christmas, they'd be home.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think that impacted you as a person and shaped you into who you are today?
I'm very comfortable in solitude.
Okay.
Yeah. Being by myself, in the sense of I was always just had my music on. I remember rollerblading in London at quite a young age, just outside my house and around that corner, but it wasn't a best area. At this point we were in Haringey, near Crouch End, and just on my own quite a lot, but I find quite comfort in that. So
do you feel like
a good thing?
That's giving you a lot of drive to get to where you've got to, being able to be by yourself and build your businesses the way that you have?
Yeah, I do. And I think sometimes as a child that sometimes you have to go looking for the attention, not because anyone was unkind, but you're craving that attention. It goes into your adult life to prove yourself. I would say I've definitely felt like I've constantly had to prove myself in every situation.
Yeah, well, you've proved that you are very accomplished.
I wouldn't take that. I'd be like, no, there's still places to go. And that's the hard thing, isn't it? You don't ever feel you've reached that point.
Okay, so then tell me about when you got older and you started to go into senior school, college. Did you go to college? Where did your path lead you then?
So, yeah, secondary school was very much of the same. I was the child that, I wasn't a problem, but I just Sophie could do better. Sophie could do better. That was constantly. Even when I got handed my GCSE results, before I'd open them, my head of year went, I expected more from you. And I was like, but, GCSE time for me was tricky. I had moved out of home. So a little bit turbulent. It doesn't mean I definitely could have put more effort into my work, but I, again, struggled unbeknowingly for other reasons. So you feel thick a lot of the time. And I think having the diagnosis, that's why it was just so wonderful. Because it's like, oh, okay, that's just how my brain breaks things down and navigates.
Yeah.
So didn't do very well in my GCSEs, unfortunately. I tried A-levels and sixth form, but I was in a very turbulent stage. So attendance was pretty poor. Because all of a sudden you're an adult and a student, so you're responsible for telling. There's no one saying, right, well, if you don't come, there's going to be visits home. It's like, don't come. And so I didn't. I chose the latter, which unfortunately, it did end. And then I just worked. I worked since 14. My first job, I used to peel quail's eggs in a local pub every Saturday morning. So eggs give me PTSD now.
Do they? Quail's eggs as well.
Oh God, it was so fiddly. And then I just went into cafes and pot washing and stuff like that. But I've always had the attitude, no matter what job I'm in, you will tell me I'm the best at it.
Okay.
Whether it's pot wash, whether it's quail eggs, I want you to say, oh, you'll be hard to replace. And that's more of a self-competitive, and maybe why I'm so critical, self-critical. But so I just carried on doing the pub jobs and cafe jobs and things like that. And then I just remember turning to my mum and saying, they keep changing my shifts and they're just not being respectful. And she was right. She said, because you're easily replaceable. In that sense, she was like, unless you create something for yourself where you provide what they really need, but they can go and get another barmaid. They can go and get another waitress. Yes, of course, she won't be you, and so I thought, I need to go and do something. But again, where I knew I wasn't academic, I went to beauty at college.
Okay, so that's where your journey started into permanent
and
makeup.
because I didn't like makeup, it wasn't that, but I loved massage. I loved reflexology. I loved anything like that.
Okay.
So I went with the attitude to do that. Hated nails, hated lashes, hated makeup. None of that. I just went to do hands-on.
Okay.
So massage, I loved that year. That was an add-on. So I did 3 years at college and got my diploma in like aromatherapy and things like that.
It shows, doesn't it, when you can channel what you're good at, and that's where I think the school system lets down so many students, because it's not about channeling what you're good at, but as soon as you channeled what you were good at, you could focus, you would turn up, all of those kind of things. And it's such a shame that so many people have to go through that, but it has also obviously created that attitude within you that you are going to achieve, you are going to be the best at everything because of that journey that you've been through when you're younger.
That's it. There was my favourite saying of, like, if you have a child and they're excellent at tennis but they really struggle in maths, don't get them a maths tutor, get them a tennis coach. And it is like, and I think that, again, like you said, that's where our school system fails us, because they're trying to push children not to in what naturally brings them a sense of achievement, a sense of self-worth and confidence. They're actually trying to push them into something that they just feel like failure. All I felt was failure in my academic life, was just a sense of failure.
And that's such a shame. I mean, I think it definitely has, from the sounds of it, really shaped you in a positive way towards the end. But it's actually, you had to go through all of that, and then wait for your diagnosis to feel like. And actually, you know, when I studied psychology, one of the main things that when we studied dyslexia was the fact that the brain is physically different when you're dyslexic. And we researched a school where they actually gave children pictures of their brains to see, and it completely lifted that fog from children. There was one boy they described would just come in every day with his hood over his head, and he would just have his head on the desk, and then as soon as he saw that difference in the picture of his brain compared to somebody that wasn't dyslexic, it just completely transformed his life. And so I think, you know, even you just saying that is so powerful, the fact that you get that diagnosis and you understand that, okay, it's just that my brain's different, and I need to we're not all going to operate how the school system operates. We are all going to be different. We all need to find our own way. And so, yeah, it's lovely to hear that you found your own channel and your own way.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. Lovely. So you got into beauty, and then what happened next? Because...
So, yeah, did beauty. As I say, loved it. And I went into a salon. Didn't like it. Salon, for me, the salon environment, and it might have just been that particular salon, but it's very catty, you just felt on unsafe ground quite a lot. And like I say, I was being asked to do nails, and I was no good. So the anxiety of it, and it just wasn't a nice place to work. So then I went out onto I went to work for Lancome. And I liked that because of the selling ability, and I could be really self-competitive. So I was a Saturday girl, and I used to sell more in that day than people that were full-time. Wow. Because I was my grandpa used to say I could sell the Arab sand. Like, I enjoyed that, not to push people, but because the minute I'd get a rapport with them, we'd be chatting, we'd be laughing, and I was building their confidence because... For me, I didn't find it hard that if you buy a foundation, of course you're going to get the concealer that goes with that, and then we're just going to get you some lippy that's going to make it pop, and you're just going to feel amazing.
You saw the value in it for that customer, yeah.
It wasn't about, because you don't get commission, that's not how that worked.
Yeah.
It wasn't for that purpose, it was just, I found it easy for people to feel they were comfortable with me and actually liked my opinion.
Do you think that quality of being able to sell has really helped you in building your permanent makeup business?
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that we generally, as permanent makeup artists, forget that we also have to be that person as well, don't we?
100%. You are your brand, but also... I don't like the hard push salesy bit. I don't like you're purchasing a product. Yeah. I really am that you're purchasing a feeling. You're purchasing an emotion, and your soul is your brand more than anything, and that's how I prefer to see it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
because that gives value, doesn't it, to that person, and it has to be like that, especially with permanent makeup, because it is, and we'll get to that in terms of the value that it is giving people when they have their permanent makeup.
I think as long as you're completely authentically you, because, there is a lot of talk around the industry being completely saturated, and the way the industry's going and how it's being navigated now compared to what it was. And it has changed massively. But that is because, and I think it's a huge positive, that people are investing in the whole of it. So they want to see your experience. They want to see your passion. They want to see you, as well as, okay, what permanent makeup do you provide?
Absolutely.
People are becoming so much more, they want to educate themselves before they go into something.
Yeah.
And that's, everyone's doing it with food. Look at that now. Everybody's definitely focusing on what's better for me. And I think that's the same with permanent makeup.
Yeah, I think having that knowledge, isn't it, knowing exactly what you're doing, and feeling confident that that person that's delivering that knows exactly what they're doing. So for you on, the Lancome counter, you knowing that this concealer goes really well with this foundation and this lipstick will blend in really well with whatever look you're trying to achieve, that gives people confidence. And that's what they're looking for, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and the thing was, it was funny because I didn't like makeup. I couldn't go and be a makeup artist, as in go and just do bridal and things like that all day long.
Yeah.
But I could just sit with the person and understand what they needed and help along the way.
Fulfill that need, that what they're missing.
But I think, it's the same, everyone's leading with intention more.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why.
Amazing. So from there, you were working, you were working on the counter at Lancome.
And I got bored.
And you got bored, okay.
Yep, I got bored. I enjoyed it, but it didn't fulfill something, which I didn't know what it was. I didn't think, I found my thing. I thought, I will not be here in 5 years' time. I can't do this, standing on the counters. For me, it just didn't evoke the emotion that I wanted to get from work. So then I thought, I've always loved fashion. It must be fashion I need. That's what I need to go into. So then I went to work for Karen Millen. And again, I would sell again. Most outfits, most bags, most shoes, most... they were like, the system of a Karen Millen card, etc., etc. Because people would come in, we'd sit, whether or not they've gone through a divorce or whether or not they've got a big event, but they lack confidence and they don't know what suits them and they don't know where to begin. My friends will all say it as well, they love it. I know I love shopping for other people, love it. So personal shopper is what I wanted to do.
Okay.
But it was £6.80 an hour and I had a very young child.
Yes, so tell me about... you had a very pivotal moment in your life, didn't you, at 22? Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about that.
So at 22, I had my daughter Aaliyah, and rather quickly after that, it was just Aaliyah and myself. And I'm not good with money. I wasn't. I'm better-ish now. But also we didn't have much either. But I was like, if it's between paying the electric and us going on a fun day to Chessington, then we'll do the Chessington and we'll worry about that later. All I know is I got to pay my council tax and rent and we're fine. Like, we can't go to prison. So that was my attitude. And we did, and we had... It was us against the world. But I just kept getting these jobs because I had to navigate them around school hours. So it wasn't many jobs. I would go into an interview and say, I can start at 9:30 and I need to leave at 2:30. Nobody really wants that. So Karen Millen did do that, but I was living from month to month. I was doing Wonga to pay and then paying that off that month and Provident loans and everything like that. So yeah, it was just constantly month to month.
Do you think that was a huge motivation for you to achieve and do more, having Aaliyah at such a young age?
Yeah, I wanted to show her what women can achieve without being middle class. And maybe that's because I came from quite a middle class background and then at like the age of 15 went completely the opposite way with leaving home and struggling a lot.
So you lived on your own from 15?
Yeah, I lived with a friend's mum and her, from 15.
Okay. That must have been tough.
Yeah, we made it fun. But it was tough. But I think when you've got... we just loved each other so much. My friend and her brother, we were like three amigos. So when you have that, I don't know, you see them as funny. We didn't have any central heating. So we had one gas fire. Do you remember them with the light ups at the front? The 3 cylinders had the gas bottle in it.
Yeah.
We had one of those, and for that we'd do scissors, rock, paper, because 3 of us were in a bedroom, but it was kind of, they put a partition wall up, and we'd do scissors, rock, papers, who had to get out of bed to go and light that fire and warm up. And then I think the bath water, it would be, you needed to share it. So again, it was scissors, rock, paper, who got the last of it out of 4 of us with their mum. But I don't know, I never remember being in it thinking, oh, this is tough, you just did. Had lots of different jobs there as well, worked on the fields like cutting collies and things, and I do remember thinking, yeah, this is not for me. I definitely would like to not
struggle.
Yeah. But I remember there was somebody I really admired who used to come and visit. She was my friend's mum's friend, and she'd come, and she had hair like yours, and she was in always like these amazing jeans and her Moschino belts and her bags, and I always used to, I'm going to be like her when I'm older. And then I started to notice that, she had quite a relationship with drink. And she just said this sentence to me. I remember her husband in the end was a really awful man. And I said, well, why are you there? And she said, it's better to be miserable in luxury than to be miserable in poverty. And I remember thinking, no. And that was, I think, a point for me that, yeah, I want it, but I want to be happy. And so with Aaliyah, I was a bit as long as we're happy. Like, there was a time, and it's one of Aaliyah's favourite memories, when we sit and talk about, because you think, oh yeah, Chessington are doing this with them, they're going to say that's their favourite memory. And hers, and she will vouch me, I say to her, what's your favourite memory? And she said, oh, the time that you couldn't afford to get us firework tickets to go and see fireworks at a local rugby ground or whatever. So we got in our onesies and we just drove around until we saw a garden doing them. Then we'd sit on the bonnet and watch their fireworks. And yeah, that was, I thought you deserved better, but it was lovely. And she loved that. And because that's, it's mad because you think, oh, you're going to remember the trainers and you're going to remember, what I absolutely grafted my arse off to make sure that she had the trainers her friends had. But that
was the most powerful thing for her.
Yeah.
And it goes back to you saying, doesn't it, like, for your mum and dad, they provided, luxury and you had a good life, but in terms of having material things and safety and, security and things like that, but it is those moments that are what people cherish, isn't it? And it doesn't have to have anything to do with material things or money or anything like that. It's just about that joy that you're experiencing together.
That's it, yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, hold on a minute. There we go.
That's beautiful. And this is why this podcast is so important, because it is moments like that sometimes when we're trying to achieve all the time, it's remembering that those moments are the important things, and that's why you're doing it, isn't it? Is to create those memories for your children. Yeah,
and she taught me a lot about being a mum to my younger children, because I learned from her, those moments are lovely that we do the big, Disneyland, whatever, but they're not, that's not what the kids remember. They just remember you being there.
They remember a feeling. Yeah. Just like you said about when clients come to you and customers come to you, they remember how you made them feel. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. So you'd had Aaliyah. Yeah. And then one part that really interested me with your story is that you decided to go into psychotherapy.
Yes.
And my background is psychology as well, so it really interested me that you did a similar thing and you had a child at a young age. How did you balance that?
So it wasn't until she was about 3, and I guess I was looking for that purpose, for that, well, this will be a better, I'll earn better if I have that qualification. I'm not replaceable. I have something to offer. But also because a lot of things that I had been through, I wanted to gain an understanding. And I think that's the self-competitive thing in me. Why do I respond like this to situations? Why do I choose these partners? Why do just my behaviour, where does it come from? Why am I doing it? And maybe then I can help other people that are struggling in that situation as well, to help them understand. So I went to Kent University. Can't do this anymore, but I lied about my GCSEs and managed to get in, and my A-levels.
And they didn't check?
Well, I think it was. God, it's making me sound really old.
I always say
think
that.
it's
I feel like they didn't check.
No.
Like when I went, I didn't have the GCSEs either, but I did mine with the Open University, so
Yeah.
I didn't actually need to have any GCSEs. But I
Right.
was like, if you just lied, how would they know?
I feel systems are better now, and there's a lot more technology, so you wouldn't get away with it. But then I managed to, and so I went there physically. Aaliyah was in nursery, and my dad would help when he could. And of course, back then, where I was getting working tax credits because I did the right hours at Karen Millen and things like that, so I qualified for help with nursery fees and things. It made it possible, and I didn't have to. I got funded with the course. So, despite all my academic challenges, I thought, here's a good idea, I'll go and do a degree. And then wondered why I struggled. But if I hadn't have gone to university, I wouldn't have got my dyslexia diagnosis because it was them that flagged it.
Okay.
And then they did the assessment.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I managed to complete 2 years, but I found it too hard. I couldn't do the assessments, and I don't think I was ready to look at myself that much, because it does. It's an incredible course, but you relate to yourself too much and go, yeah, that's why I'm doing that. And I just wasn't in a place yet. In my, I know this, everyone flies this around at the moment, but in my healing journey, I wasn't there yet. I was still figuring a lot out. And so, I hate saying it, but yeah, I dropped out, which then gave me a massive sense of failure again.
Yeah.
So then that came with its own baggage.
But emotionally, it was a tough course to go through, as well as dealing with your dyslexia at the same time, going through something like that.
So I went from there, and I was still working at Karen Millen, and one of my ex-tutors from college came in, and she was like, what are you doing here? Like, you're an amazing beautician in like the massage and skin. Like, she said, you're incredible. Why are you here? And I said, well, I don't like beauty. And she said, well, I'm just opening a salon. And I said, well, that's great, but I don't want to do lashes. I don't want to do nails. I literally just want to do massage and facials. She said, yeah, that's fine. And so I went, that's how I got back into beauty.
Okay.
Is I went there.
And how old were you then?
So Aaliyah would have been 4, so 26.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you stayed at that salon for a while?
Yeah, long time.
Okay.
Yeah, long time. And I built up my skincare career. I found, and as is you, skin so fascinating, and I wasn't bored, and I could be hands-on, and I learned really well. I went and trained with the IIAA, and I absolutely adored it. Again, there was still sales elements, so I enjoyed that, but also it came with genuinely helping people. You know, I developed adult acne when I was 28 through a lot of stress. Aaliyah and I didn't have anywhere to live for about 3 months, so I was kind of sofa surfing with her. And as much as she didn't see it as a negative, it was really fun, and I felt I was really coping with it. My skin told me otherwise, and it really bad cystic acne. So that got me really into skin, because you'll go into a shop and whatever someone tells you, you'll do it because you're so desperate.
Yeah.
If someone says, I can clear your skin up, you'll buy 10 products, but they won't work. And so going with IIAA, which the brand is called Environ, they massively helped and made a difference. And so then I was like, right, that's me done. And I got into collagen stimulation therapy, and the surgeon that created the brand, I got to perform with him at the Royal Society of Medicine, doing some collagen stimulation. It just was, I need to be in things that are constantly moving because of my brain.
Yeah.
That are constantly, oh, you can learn more. That's not just it. You don't need to be stagnant. There's something else you don't know. There's something else you don't know. And with doing facials, I got time with people, like good time, enough. And I made some amazing friends that I still see now. They'll still come and have a lash. I don't do lash tints, but I'll still do their lash tint.
That were your clients?
Because, from when I was, 20, 28, I'd say they started to
That's
come
one of the
into
most
me.
amazing parts about this industry, isn't it? It's the people that you meet and and actually I was talking to my husband about this recently, how I wanted to be a psychologist and I didn't get the grades to be able to move on with my psychology. And I used to feel quite, again, a bit like you, a bit of a failure in that area in terms of like, that's what my goal was and I didn't achieve that goal. However, it dawned on me a couple of years ago where I was like, people are coming in and laying on the bed with me and it almost in like a psychotherapy, psychology, clinical psychology kind of setting.
Absolutely.
Where they actually feel open and relaxed enough to open up and talk. And you do connect, don't you, with your clients on such a deep level in that time that you've got them there. And it's really powerful. So what all of that you learn during, and I always think everything that you do in life is for a reason, whether you reach that end goal or not. You were not supposed to reach that end goal because your life pivoted, but what you took from that course has enabled you to be able to touch people's lives in such a way that you've got those friendships still all these years later.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think people come to you, not all of them, but they come at a point where they're like, I just need to get an element of me back, or this has bothered me for this amount of time and I want to change that. That's such a nice place to meet them.
Absolutely.
When they're, and they're open. Yeah, we get good amount of time with people. And, when you think again, like a counsellor or anyone, that's 50 minutes.
Yeah.
We get longer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and they can come back and they get to get a treatment at the same time. Yeah, it is really, it's such an honour, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So you were at the salon. What made you... How did permanent makeup come around? How did you get into permanent makeup?
So with permanent makeup, I was constantly like, no, not for me, not for me. I had a couple of artists that did it within the salon and I really liked it, but I'd written it off for myself because I grew up quite I was a chronic asthmatic, and the medication would make me shake. So I think that's why I didn't like nails and lashes, because I would shake quite a bit.
Right.
So anytime people would go to me, you're so artistic, I think you'd be really good at it. I just wrote it off. I went, no, too fiddly for me, not for me. And then I think I caught wind of the areola that had come, about, because you're looking at 8 years ago now. And I started to see the reaction, especially with alopecia clients, things like that. And I thought, okay. But again, it was out of my reach. At the time, training was like £12,000, if you're doing it with if you're going to, and I'm one of those, if I'm going to do it properly.
Yeah.
So it was just not achievable to me at all. It came once I'd met my husband and his parents said, we think you should do this. We think you can do this.
Wow.
And so they made it achievable to me. So I'd had my second daughter, Matilda, by then. So I was 34, 35.
So at this point, you'd met your husband.
Met my husband.
And you'd had your second baby. Mm-hmm. Tell me, we'll come back to what you were saying, but tell me a little bit about your husband and how you met your husband.
I met my husband really randomly. We'd never crossed paths, even though we were in the same town, never ever. And I actually met his dad, and thought his dad was really funny. And I was just sworn off men at the time. I was just like, do you know what? I'm really happy to be a single mum and just not do this anymore. I can't do another date or anything like that. So I just decided to just, be unapproachable. So this lovely, older guy and his friend, we were in like a local, they were just really funny. And then along came my husband and he was a bit like, Dad, what are you doing? Because he sat at the bar with me and my friend. Yeah. And he did keep saying to me, oh, I wish my son would meet someone like you, but he's not interested. All he ever is out with the boys, holidays with the boys, out with the boys. And I do remember thinking to myself, like, oh, well, maybe your son's gay. Do you know what I mean? Because the way he was saying it was like, he never has a girlfriend, he never did it. And I thought, oh, maybe. Like, bless you, I don't want to say it. Yeah. And then, so he came in and, as cliche as it is, but literally from that second. And then he, a week later, left to go to Canada for 6 months. And I was very just headstrong. I said, I don't know you, so I'm not putting my life on hold. Yeah. We won't have a contact. If in 6 months you get back and the universe has seen that you haven't met anybody in Canada that's interested in what you're in, because he went to do skiing. I don't like skiing. I don't like being cold. So I was like, you might meet somebody that shares your interest. We'll see what the universe does. Yeah. And so the second he came back, he contacted me. And by the end of that year, he'd proposed.
Wow.
Yeah, he proposed a year to the day we met.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it went very quickly. Yeah. It was baby, marriage done. Really, really quick.
Oh, lovely. And then his family supported you to get into permanent makeup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what drove me a little bit more with it was someone within my industry was just like, you won't be any good at it. And that was fine. I'm actually very grateful for that, because then that competitive streak in me, as in not competitive with them, but self-competitive, like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I will do this. And as well, there was a little bit of talk of I wouldn't really bother training a left-handed person. So that gave me, I will say, yes, self-competitiveness, but also then I went on the training full of dread. And I remember bursting into tears and going, oh my God, I'm left-handed though, I'm left-handed. And the trainer was like, okay, there's 2 left-handed trainers here, like, chill out, why are you crying? But I think it's because I really believed, maybe this is going to be my roadblock. And do not get me wrong, being left-handed has been an uphill battle with it, because... And maybe as well having dyslexia, because I don't process things the same. And then I'm looking at a lot of right-handed, incredible artists, but my brain's trying to flip, reverse and mirror image, but the other way around.
Right.
What they're doing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't grasping things very quickly at all. And again, that whole failure, imposter syndrome comes in.
Do you feel like, this is just a question that's come into my head, do you feel like our industry's not that geared up for people that are left-handed?
It needs to be talked about more, for sure. Yeah,
because I've actually never thought about that. But, like, my mum's left-handed, my daughter's left-handed, and one of my daughters, and actually, I remember my mum saying, like, school was not equipped for people that were left-handed.
I smashed all my work all the time. Loads of things at school. That was really, really frustrating. Yeah.
And actually sometimes we forget in smaller industries that those issues that are kind of now solved for children, like I've never had any issues with my daughter being left-handed at school. Things that, like, my mum used to say, like, if you wanted to open a tin, there was nothing for left-handed people. Peelers were not
to scissors and
things
like that.
Exactly, things like that. But actually, that's a really good question, isn't it? Like, is there things within our industry that need to be more adaptable?
Yeah.
If you're left-handed?
I'd say so. And I think I did a demo last year, like on left-handed lip blush technique, and that might not have been for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, right-handed people could come and definitely see something, they'll pick up something, but I wanted to be like, you know, come and see me if you are left-handed and let me show you how I navigated, because lips was really hard for me. I didn't do them for the first 4 years.
Yeah, because like even what you were saying about the fact that you're watching stuff, like a lot of us will watch a lot of stuff on Instagram. There's like lots of online training now and things like that. And you're right, if you see that as a right-handed person, that's such a privilege. I'm right-handed. I've never even thought about that actually it's on the flip side. So I have that luxury of watching an Instagram
they
video
would do
how
a stretch and I think, well, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And so then I've just got to, in my brain, mirror, but then switch it. And then I can. So it just takes a moment.
Yeah.
It's got easier with time, but as I've become more accomplished as an artist, but learning. And do you know what? We had a course last year where I teach beginners, and we only ever have 4 to a course, and that's between 2 of us, artists. But for the first time ever, all 4 students were left-handed. We've never had that. Never.
All of them.
So how nice to be taught by left-handed.
I feel like as well, because the nature of being left-handed, most of the time people are much more creative. So it is a line of work that I'm sure there's a lot of left-handed people come into. I mean, and I've trained people that are left-handed, and you do, as a trainer, you have to really think about, right, how do I approach supporting them to stretch properly, how to use a machine. And I've thought about it in that way, but not as a whole, as like how, is there more that we can be doing so that if you are left-handed, you can at least watch things that are, you know,
geared up.
Yeah, geared up, or by artists that are left-handed.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously that put you off because somebody said that to you, and that's completely understandable. But do you think that also drove you quite a lot?
Massively. Yeah, it did. And I was in I wouldn't say small town, but they say it's a city. It's really not that big. And there was already 2 very well accomplished artists. If you had your brows done, you went to either one.
Okay.
And one trained the other.
Right.
And it was really hands-on. So it was like, oh, I'm just this little underdog. And my amazing in-laws, they took up the carpet in their spare bedroom, and that became my clinic space, you know, until 4 years ago.
Wow.
That was my clinic space. I did go back to guest spot in the Canterbury clinic for a while because, again, imposter syndrome was like, I need to work with these 2 girls because then their names will get... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I didn't feel as
absolutely.
confident being on my own, and you think I need to be part of a team. And it is lovely. You know, we do work a lot in solitude, and I'm happy like that. But it was nice to now and again...
Especially when you're a beginner, isn't it?
Yeah, that you can double check, like do the pre-draw and you think, oh, could you just come and have a look?
Yeah.
It was so lovely.
Yeah.
And one of the artists that was established is Tilly Ray, and she, you know, she didn't see that as competitiveness. You know, she was 5 years in, she had her name, so she was, you know, happy to be like, yeah, no, just tweak that bit or just do that. Like that really helps. But again, she'd be like, how are you not getting that? But it's because she was right-handed. She's like, hold on, try it that way. But it is really hard when you're meeting someone that's left and you're just like, I don't know what you're doing. What are you doing?
You've really got to think about it, haven't you? How to place your hands, how to hold your machine, all of those kind of things. It's just different. Amazing. So you set up your permanent makeup business from your in-laws house, and tell me then let's talk about the Joy of You.
Yes.
So first of all, tell me a little bit about the Joy of You, what it is, and then we will talk about how it started.
Yeah, so the Joy of You, I think from doing facials, from giving, providing something for women, whether they'll be just, it's day to day and they're just doing it for a treat, or they're doing it because it's like, do you know what, I've hit rock bottom, this has happened and I need to have a I need to look at me again. I need to work on me again. I always wanted to have a charity where I could be in a position, like what I would put out to the world is I want to be in a position where I can do this for free. And when I trained in permanent makeup, I remember an artist saying to me, like, what's the 5-year plan? And I was like, start a charity. Like, I want to do this for free. But, you know, another baby came along and life, and you're building your career. It just never feels like, oh, that's the right moment.
Yeah.
And then, but I knew the power it could have. And it wasn't that I wanted to give free treatments. The meaning behind it is so much more. It is teaching somebody and helping somebody to receive joy, and know how to receive it again, because you can be so consumed in the narrative that you have been given that you just completely forget how to see a slither in joy in where you are. And so I wanted to create that. Then 2021 came, and you have somebody in your life, and that was my dad, and he was just the person that I didn't feel achieved unless he said well done. Okay. I didn't feel reassured when I was worried unless he told me it was going to be okay. He was that person that is, okay, well, if he says it, then that's what it is. Or if he does it, you know, and then if he sees me, and that might have been because of him being away a lot, but also because he was just, in his industry, they called him the squadron leader. So his nickname was Squaddy, and that was because everybody said, you know, Ken's the head of the ship. Ken will get us there, no matter what. If he's all right, we're all right. Like, we know that, and that's how it felt as a family dynamic. So 2021 came, and I think the most terrifying thing I found of it all, it was a really normal morning, got the kids ready for school, and my husband came home, which was weird. That was out of character for him. So he'd gone to work, come home just as I was about to head out the door with the kids, get them in the car, you know, manic Friday. So I was a bit dismissive. I was like, oh my God, why are you here? Like, get out the way. And I could see his face. It looked like a ghost. And he was like, your dad's collapsed. You know, your stepmom rang me because she didn't know if you'd be in the car with the kids. And I remember just looking at him being like, okay. And he said, can I have a hug? I went, no. I said, right. And all of a sudden, methodical Sophie comes in, and I'm like, right, okay, just going to make a phone call. Oh, do you think I should go to work? Oh, I don't know. Is that dramatic if I don't go to work? Because that's all we'd known at this time is he's collapsed, and they were airlifting him to... they took him to Canterbury to scan him. So I rang my mum. She said, you know, I'm on the way to the hospital, and they scanned him and then airlifted him immediately to King's. So it was a bit of a waiting game. COVID was kind of over. You were able to go, but they didn't want you hanging around the hospitals. Okay. So I didn't go to work. I just sort of chilled with a couple of friends and my daughter, and then the hospital rang and said, we'd like you to come in. And I knew. I just knew. Okay. And they wouldn't say anything to me. So, yeah, we got there, and a really lovely surgeon took me and my stepmom aside and just said, you know, this is what's happened. He had such a huge bleed that it crushed his brain stem. So, again, though, didn't cry, just sat and went, okay, cool. Because my brain is processing, and that's what I notice a lot. I have to kind of put it into pockets. And they said, you know, we can't declare him dead today. We need to do it tomorrow, 24 hours after, because we need to redo the tests that we've done today, which will prove he's brain dead. And so I was a bit like, oh, okay, so maybe tomorrow then, when you do the tests, is there a chance that he can show signs of life? And she was fantastic. She just went, no. Like, didn't mess with me about it, just went no. She said, we just have to do it by law. So then the control kind of person in me was like, well, I want to be there. I want to watch it. I want to make sure that I don't see. And she was really lovely. She said, it's not nice. I don't think you do. And I just remember coming out of the hospital, and it's the weirdest experience for anyone. It's like the Matrix. Just all of a sudden, I was not in my world. And there are things that happened my daughter didn't know, but she'd come to the hospital. She was waiting with my friend. And I remember I couldn't, she was 16, 17. She would come, is everything all right? Like, what's going on, Granddad? And I remember just looking at her going, oh, like that. I couldn't talk. I was just like, mm-mm. And then she just was screaming. I couldn't touch her. I just was like, you're too much. And my brother was over there on the floor of the car park. And I remember just being like, what is this world? Like, where am I? And that was pretty much it for the foreseeable. My world wasn't my world anymore. And I'd lost I feel he was my purpose. Because if I didn't get clarification from him, and maybe that was wrong, maybe I should have just, and I have had to learn, if you say it's okay, it's okay. But you're still always a child, even when you're older, I think. That child ego is still there of like looking for validation. And so, the next couple of years, I don't want to say black holes, it's so dramatic, but you just crack on, but you're not
It's a very
there.
traumatic experience, isn't it? Because like you said, you're just doing your normal day to day, and then suddenly something comes in that destroys all of what you, like you said, your world looked like. Yeah.
And I think you have to adult properly. And I remember I reached out to another permanent makeup artist, actually, the day he collapsed, because for some reason I remember her posting that her dad died the similar way.
Right.
So I reached out to her before they declared him on the Saturday. And I said, look, I hope you don't mind me asking, but this has happened and I'm in a bit of a hole. And she was so lovely. She messaged me straight back and she said, when you go in tomorrow, you need to remember it's not about you. She said, because they need permission to leave. She said, so you go in there, you breathe, and you don't make it about you. And I waited for everyone else to say goodbye. And because my dad was that character, didn't want anyone looking after him, it was always him taking care of everybody. And I think to this day, and I hope that I don't have to be in that position again, but I went in and I just said, you can go. I've got this and I'll take care of everyone now. And they said it could take up to 24 hours after they switched, but he went 20 minutes. And I do believe, because you have to let them know it's okay. But that was probably the hardest thing. And then going, okay, I'm a grown up now. And and you live with that all the time, and that carries you. That's like life support machines live rent-free in your head as you're driving or as you're doing school runs, or even just having a beautiful moment with your children, beeping the noises and everything. People don't realise that. And what I came quite quickly to notice was women who have been diagnosed with cancer or domestic abuse or rape victims, it's the memory of that moment of that diagnosis. It's the attack, anything. It lives rent-free and you carry it, and you can be doing the most normal thing and it will just come, and it creates this colour. And I think I had to do something where I felt I had purpose, because being a mum and stuff just wasn't enough. And so, yeah, Joy was born, and it was because I went and had a haircut. I had really long hair, and she said, "What do you want?" And I have talked about this before, but so I'll be brief.
Was this after everything had happened?
You're
going through the trauma, and you went to go and have...
Yeah, and she said, "Oh, what do you want?" And I just remember saying, I just don't want to see grief anymore, because that was... you look different to yourself. It's so strange, I can't explain it. And she cut my hair off, and it was only like a few seconds. I was like, God, I remember her. Oh, she is there, like, just a few seconds, and then it was back to, oh yeah, no, that's happened. But it definitely reminded me to receive a slither of joy, and that was it for me. I was like, I'm giving that, because we are all so guilty, especially as women. I'm not taking anything away from men, because men's mental health is a very, very close cause to my heart, but as women, we forget to say, I need help. Can you do that for me? It would be better if maybe you took on that job while I do these other 7. Yeah. Or despite having whatever they're dealing with, they won't just go, I deserve something and I want it for me. It's rare that we get to that point and feel comfortable in it.
Yeah. So
that's what made me decide to make Joy a nomination, because that way it's like, right, you need this has come about, and I've put you forward. And I still get so many women go, I didn't know, and I thought, I've been doing really well, but actually, it's so nice to sit down for a minute. It's not, and again, I didn't want it to be, it's charitable, you've got a free treatment. No, it's not that. It's just you deserve.
Yeah.
It's what you deserve. Let's pause for a second. It's taking you out of self. It's changing your narrative ever so slightly.
What a beautiful thing to come out of all of that grief and everything that you went through, to be able to find the courage to go through that and then still want to give to others, and see the pain that you went through, and how by doing those small acts of kindness, how you can help with healing by, like you said, just giving a sliver of joy.
Yeah, and it has made me feel a sense of purpose, and I think I touched upon it with you a little while ago when we were having a chat, that we live this constantly feeling overwhelmed with all the responsibility we have and what we need to do, but then also feeling like, are we doing enough? And that's a difficult place to be. So just sitting down and touching base with somebody and feeling seen holds value beyond anything.
Absolutely.
But also remembering, there was a lady once, and she came in and she was in really baggy clothing, didn't have a speck of makeup on, and she was nominated. I can't remember what it was for. It's about 2 years ago now. But what stood out to me was I did her brows and I saw something in her switch a little bit. And she was like, no, I really like these. And when she came for her retouch, she had lipstick on. She had a really beautiful skirt on, and she had some beads. And I was like, you look amazing. And she said, yeah, I know. It kind of made me go, yeah.
You can look after yourself.
Yeah, you can. It's actually not selfish.
Yeah.
And it was just those changes. She came in looking brighter. And of course, if you look bright, even if it is some colourful beads or something. That's what you see. That's the energy that starts to feed and get back.
Yeah.
As someone will go, I like your necklace. That's really pretty. That makes you feel.
Yeah.
And that sounds like superficial, but it's not.
It's not.
It's just,
It's not.
oh, that was a positive thing said to me.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, yeah, joy for this last 3 years, and I've seen so many different cases. And
tell me some of those cases that you've seen, not obviously mentioning names, but things that women that have come into your clinic, what have they gone through and how have you been able to help them?
I've had some that have lost their children to cancer, and they have other children, so they can't give up, but they want to, and I get it. I've had some that have lost their children to suicide. One girl lost her son to a TikTok challenge, and she found him. End of life. I've done quite a lot of end of life.
That's where the client is coming to end of life.
Mm-hmm. And that hits different because your conversation's different. But actually, I remember one lady, and she was, her personality, amazing, infectious. She just walked in, she owned the room. And I said, what would you like? She said, I'm going to have a lip blush. She said, and it's going to be really red because I'm dying. So if I'm going to die, I might as well have a red lip. And I remember her taking me aback, like, okay, yeah, no, we'll do that. She was so positive.
Wow.
And like, no, I've had a nice life. I'm all right. I've done good. Because I see both ends. So people with their diagnosis and, as it would completely. And then there's some people going, it's okay.
Gosh.
It's okay.
It's so beautiful, isn't it? It's just amazing that you can touch people's lives like that so powerfully when they're going through so much.
Yeah, you do. And that's the tricky thing. You don't want to look like you're babying or pandering or anything like that. You just want to meet them where they are. And some come in and they don't want to say anything. I know their story because they've been nominated. They don't say anything. And that's okay. We'll just be. And actually, though, when it comes to the retouch, then they talk more, or they just talk to me about normal things. But sometimes some of them are they've got this wall here because they've been so hurt and they've been so that like they're a little bit suspicious of me. Like, why are you doing this? So it's free, is it? Why? Yeah. They're a bit like that, and you're like, oh, okay. And they're like, what's it? Do I pay for the next one? I'm like, no.
And I remember reading you wrote about how it's not about fixing people, it's about meeting them where they're at. And I think that is so important. And the message that you send to them, like you said, there's going to be people that are going to come to you having gone through really, really tough times and sometimes have experienced real bad energy from other people. Other people have put them through that. But to come to you and feel that they can feel safe, because it's like, why are you doing this? What is your intentions? Where is this coming from? But for you to make them feel safe. And I listened to a story actually, it was on a Stephen Bartlett podcast. He was talking about a man that had tried to come and deliver some groceries to his family when they were very, very poor, and the father had said he didn't want the groceries because it was about, this is my pride, like I can feed my family, I can do this by myself. And actually, even though this person had come to give this stuff and wasn't trying to make him feel bad, it wasn't trying to belittle his role as a father, but actually that gift of kindness made him feel like that because of what he was going through. It wasn't anything to do with the man that was bringing the food. But I remember him saying it was that gift of kindness with no ulterior motives. He didn't want anything in return. He didn't even want him to say thank you. He just left it there. But that made such a huge impact on the rest of his life.
Yeah.
And just hearing you say that, I think that what you're doing is not just giving a gift to one person. You're actually planting a seed in people that then they can give gifts to people, this, you know, just like you're giving to them.
Yes, as a parent as well, I always think, you know, when, I don't know, if our kids if we were asked, you know, what do you want for your mum? I wouldn't ever want them to say I wanted to be happy. I would want them to say, oh, she's happy, and maybe say something more superficial, like I'd like her to have a holiday.
Yeah.
I don't ever want my kids to think I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And I found with Joy, especially with parents, that the one that was incredibly hard was a really lovely woman. She lost her son to, he was 15, to cancer. And but she had other children, and so you hope that maybe you show up in a slightly different way when you've been given, when someone's filled your cup.
Yeah, yeah.
You hope. But, you know, sexual assault victims, we've had things like that, and some of them have developed Tourette's from it, lost their hair, from the absolute trauma that it does. It goes so much more beyond the physical side of it. It's what it does to your internal narrative, and that's the toughest thing. So I built my home clinic about a year after Dad, and I was, you know, just with colours and tones, and created an incredibly safe space, and I love it. Everything is, there's a very lovely picture which a lot of my clients know in the reception, which is a picture of my dad in New York. A lot of people think it's someone famous. They go, oh, where did you get that print from? And he's on a payphone, he's like holding the phone, and it's just a really cool black and white. That's in reception, along with some paintings. And my dad was an incredible artist, incredible, just did it in his part-time. He was self-taught and everything. And that, again, I think that's what invokes both my mum and my dad are incredibly talented people that I definitely think, you don't perhaps always see it, but you think, no, yeah, that is an inspiration to want to push yourself that little bit more, and not sit pretty, as they say, like, okay, well, what else can we do? And that's okay. And I think we try and pass that on to our kids, like, let's have a look at this in another way, from another angle. You know, before we say, well, that's not for us, because that's what I nearly did with permanent makeup, and I wouldn't be here. And I was open on a podcast about 2 years after Dad, where I did say I struggled. I like things to make sense. And even, like I say, when I got told, it was like, okay, well, this makes sense. We've got to put this here. We've got to put that there. Okay, you know, I know what it is. It's fine. And for me, for a little while, because the pain was so physical, I ended up with a really bad, like, it was gastric. I used to just be like, this is it for me. I used to think, how can this stop? And the rational for me was to die. And that, the guilt that came with that, because then I'd go downstairs, be with the children, and think as if I'm contemplating, but it's the desperation of wanting it to stop, and not knowing any other way. That's the only way for it to stop. But thank God for my children, and thank God for finding a purpose, because I know a lot of people that aren't as lucky and have not chosen, that sounds wrong, but they've gone that way.
They've found their way through. What do you think helped you find your way through that dark hour?
My kids. 1,000,000% my kids. And it has definitely affected me. My health anxiety is really bad now. And my obsession with my children is probably a little bit smothery. So I've got to work on that, but I will. I've got to work on that. They were like, oh, you know, they're going to do, Matilda's going to do residential, 5 days. Nope. And they were like, I said, well, where is it? And they said the place. I said, well, I'll get a hotel there. And then I'm close by. And they went, you can, but you still can't see her. And I was like, no, but I need to be near. And I thought, oh my gosh, these people are going to be like, are you okay? Stalker.
But because of the nature of how quickly your dad went,
yeah,
it's given you that. Yeah.
And that's
worry.
something, and again, actually I just thought of it when you were saying it about meeting people where they are. The reason why that was so important to me was because friends, other members of the family, they didn't mean to, but you're dictated to a lot when you're in grief. What you need to take time for yourself. You need to be kinder for yourself. And it was like, stop.
Yeah.
Just sit with me and say, this is really crap.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, what do you mean find time for myself? When? Mabel was 2. You know, you've had 2-year-old, had a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old. When?
Yeah.
You know, Aaliyah was 17 and older, but when? And that's why I wanted it to be nomination, because I don't think... It was my husband that was like, no. He was like, go and have your haircut, go and have something. Booked it, done. And I think that's why it was so important it was nomination, because we just don't go, I'd really like that. Could you do that for me? Can I have something free?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't do it.
Do you think that through putting so much into Joy that it has helped heal some of what you've gone through?
Yes, in a way that we've all got battles, and it's so easy to sometimes walk around and go, oh, this is really unfair on me. Why did that happen to my dad? And then when you're sat with everybody else's stories and you sit with everybody else's backpacks, they bring them into the room, they put them down, but you see this overflowing, you know, just burden of heaviness that for me it was like, yeah, this is crap, but we've all got it. And so let's just be together and say, I see you.
Yeah. And it highlights the power of what we do as permanent makeup artists.
Massively. How
we can make such a difference to people's lives. And it can appear like it's superficial and it's aesthetic, but it's actually... it can be so healing for so many people.
How many ladies do you see that say, I haven't had eyebrows for 40 years, and all of a sudden you frame their face and you've lifted, and you just see this massive thing in them.
Yeah.
Like, just so it's...
There's so many layers to it, isn't there?
So many layers to it, and I feel like permanent makeup is heading in the direction that it's not as cosmetic or vanity. It's not... you know, we're really emphasising to people it's not makeup.
Yes, exactly.
It's enhancement, and we just want to elevate you to a place that, you know, maybe you didn't think you could be, or you didn't see yourself, and then all of a sudden you've got so many women that say, oh my God, wish I'd done this sooner.
Yeah.
Wish I'd done this sooner. God, it makes my day when I wake up in the morning and I don't have to do that. Just giving that alone is wonderful.
Yeah. I know, it's incredible. But I just, I'm so blown away by everything you've done and everything you're still doing. And I encourage anybody that isn't following you, isn't haven't seen what you are doing to go and follow you on your page. You've got a page, haven't you? Joy of You.
Joy of You, yeah.
And I just want to end by asking you, where do you see Joy going, and where do you see you going personally, and what is the legacy you want to leave? You've got 3 amazing daughters, and you've shown just today how much courage you can have as a woman. What is the message that you would like to leave for your daughters, or the legacy that you would like to leave for your daughters?
So for Joy, firstly, this year, for the first time, I didn't know how to make joy bigger without losing the essence of joy, because sometimes the minute something blows out, you lose the purity of it. You dilute. Yeah. But I wanted it to be bigger so I could see more women, and more women knew it was available to them. So this year we are starting, it will be called Joy's Angels. And it is a way for other artists to come on board, but they'll provide something different. So we have an amazing artist that is coming on, and she is providing a space for me in London. Lovely. In her clinic. And from there I will be able to see, but it's still in that safe space. Yeah. Because we navigate all the nominations, everything, it's a lot to go through, but I still don't want to lose that at all. I want it to completely personally come through myself and my amazing right-hand woman, Joelle. And then from there, other Joy's Angels will come along and offer other things. And that way I can create a community within Joy that is still going to keep the essence and see a lot more women. And eventually I would like to go into men's mental health, but I know that I'll need a different kind of team to navigate that path. And I guess on that, for my children, and my legacy, just have courage. And just allow yourself to see the light in people and in you in any moment, because it's so easy to be consumed by the negativity of the world. The world's really, really scary right now. So I want them to just, from me, learn just to have courage and see the good wherever they can.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been amazing.
It means everything. Thank you.